I'm back on the JLG G12 55A. If this machine looks familiar, it's because I already made a video. I replaced the comp cylinder that had snapped on this thing. Put that cylinder in. It looks like they've been greasing it, which is really good. But the customer complaint is that it is not, they have to put it on a battery charger every night or else it won't start. So they told me to order an alternator for it, and the alternator for this thing is over $600. And so hopefully I'm gonna, before I throw a $600 alternator on here, just by their word, they said they put new batteries in here as well, but I'm gonna verify and see if the alternator is working or not, or if there's another problem, a wiring issue or something else that may be going on, before I throw a $600 alternator in here without doing any diagnostic on it. So it could be just a simple alternator swap video, or it could be something more if it turns into be a wiring or electrical issue. But even if I do swap the alternator, it's gonna suck, because this alternator, the way they have it buried, is stupid. It's just stupid engineering. I'm gonna have to take a whole bunch of crap apart to get to it, so it's gonna be stupid. So I got my truck hooked up to it. See if this thing will start up. Not yet. So I guess I'll let it charge up for a minute. I would really like to verify that the alternator's bad before I throw this one in there. But I need to get it started regardless, because if I put the new alternator in it, still have to get the thing started. So either way, I'm gonna have to let this charge up for a minute and get it started up. So, and then once that's done, I'll bring you guys back and we'll start doing some diagnosing and see if the alternator is truly bad. Decided before I get too carried away with anything else, I need to clean these battery terminals off, because that could be a big issue. So I ended up replacing these two battery terminals because they were crap and they weren't tightening up because they'd been over tightened so many times and all that crap. So they were crap. So I put new terminals on and everything cleaned up, and I sprayed it with some corrosion inhibitor, and now we can start. There's no way I'm going to start charging / starting diagnostic or issue or put a $600 alternator in without addressing the batteries first. That's just not how I roll. So we got to get that right first before we move on to anything else. So ooh. So I'm gonna let this now, see if this will take the charge better, and see if we can get it fired up and start some diagnosing. Got about 37 amps going into this thing. Let's let it charge up for a little bit longer. Kind of wish they would do this kind of stuff before I got here, but this makes things longer for me, take longer, but it'd be a lot faster for me and them if they would just charge things up before I got here. But whatever, we'll let it charge up for a little bit longer. So this is an example of why I don't just throw parts in when customers tell me it's what they need. Right now it's charging at 18 amps. I've been letting it run. It's been running for about 20 minutes. It started out about 30 amps, and now it's down to about 18 amps. But the alternator is working. I can't condemn the alternator yet. So as of right now, the alternator is working, so I'm not going to just go throw it in. And another thing I noticed was on the battery terminals, I was getting a huge voltage drop on them. When I was originally charging the battery with my truck, I was getting a giant voltage drop on those corroded terminals. Is that enough for this thing to be dead every night? I don't know, but we're definitely have to do some more testing. It's reading about 13.9 volts right now. After it started out at 14, this was reading 14. Right now it's at 13.9. But in any case, there's definitely more to look into before just throwing an alternator in, and that's why when I see corroded cables and other stuff going on, I'm not just going to throw a $600 alternator in. I'm not paying for it, but the fact is, I'm the mechanic that they're calling me out here, and I can't just be part swapping. I'm not a part swapper, even if the customer tells me that's what they need. So anyways, looks like my meter just went dead, but I'll have to put some new batteries in it. But so yeah, it looks like we might be doing some diagnosing and seeing, was it the battery cables? Is there a voltage a parasitic draw on it somewhere, or are the batteries, even though they said they just replaced them less than a year ago, but from running them dead all the time, are the batteries no good? So those are the things I'm gonna have to look into. So anyways, that's what I'm gonna be doing. Okay, so the keys out of it, key switch is off, instrument panel is off. Okay, this thing's been off for a while now. If you look right there, I got 3.5 amps draw, which is way too much. Now, if I come over here and push the steer select switch to there, right? That drops me down to 1.3 amps. So I got over a 2 amp draw coming through the switch. Now, if you notice, when I put this switch down, that light's coming on right there, which with the key out, ignition off, I should not have a light on there, right? So if I go and take, let's see here, so we got 1.3 amps, so there's 2 amps of our draw right there. Now, if I come over to, let's see here, the key, pull that guy out. Now I'm down to a 0.2 amp. So where does that lead us? Well, for one, if you look at this key switch, it doesn't look any good. I don't think our key switch is turning off. So now if I got the fuse back in, so if I turn the key switch to this position, which should be like an auxiliary position, I have no draw, but if I go to off and pull the key out, well, now it's not doing it. See if I can get it to duplicate again. I think what's happening is they're putting it in that position. Now I got amp jaw again there. Anyways, long story short, depending on what position this key switch is screwed, as you can see, and depending on what position it's in, I can have a huge current draw. So right there on the off, I'm at almost 1.5 amps draw. And now it's acting different. Now look at that. The key's out and it's in the stop position, and the ignition, well, that's why right there. But anyways, the ignition is off, the key's out, and the display's still on. So right now we're at 4.7 draw. Let's see if I can turn this thing off now. Now it doesn't even want to turn off. There. And we're at 3.6 amps with the ignition off and the key out. So there's your problem there. No wonder we have dead batteries. So now it's in the off position, the key out. And we're at 3.6 amps. So depending on what position this thing is when they pull the key out, because you know, they're just obviously they're gonna start it up and then just turn it off and pull the key out like that. But depending on what position the key comes out in, you could have anywhere from almost a 2 amp to a 4.5 amp draw. Yeah, right now we're at 3.5 amp draw. So that's the problem right there. It needs a new key switch. All that trouble for a $10 key switch. So all I did to figure that out is start pulling, because I don't have my infrared or anything like that. That really helps when diagnosing this stuff. But all I did is start pulling fuses out and watching my current draw to find out where it's all going. So yeah, I think I'd call this a wrap. It needs a new key switch. So